We got there in the end. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to A Speech a Week. My name is Pippa. I'm your host through the sonnets and the speeches of Shakespeare. And this week is no bloody different. Well, it is different, actually. We're doing it on Thursday instead of Wednesday. But still, I hope you're all doing incredibly well. I'm not crying. I'm just, you know me, my little allergies. We've had a lot of dust. And we cooked some burgers last night, so there's lots of fat in the air still. Our extraction system isn't all that brilliant. So my little eyes keep weeping, which is quite fitting, I suppose, because we are talking about love and eyes a lot in today's speech. So let's tuck straight into it. But if you are new here, just to quickly give you a rundown about what this is the hashtag A Speech a Week project that I can never seem to say. We go live every single week, reading and working through a classical Shakespeare speech together. Shakespeare is written for everybody. It is not some elitist thing that posh people only and wealthy people can understand. It's not a classy thing. It really is an earthy, gritty, grounded, hardcore, brilliant, dramatic device for us actors to perform. And I want to make it as accessible as possible, hence why I'm doing this project and giving you as much information as I can to make this seem less scary. It's not scary, it's fun. And like I said, this is the best stuff an actor can get hold of because the dramatics are there, the dramatic tension is there, the stakes are high, so much is going on for these characters, and you have the words to match that. So if you're an actor and you're new at Shakespeare, or if you're an old hand at this, join in. This is really good fun. It's a safe space. I'm putting myself out there. I'm getting vulnerable because I'm figuring it out there with you, and we are just having some fun on this. So do say hello if you are online. I can see some people are. And we'll get straight into it. So we're working on As You Like It today. As You Like It is a fabulous play. I'm not here to give you a whole spiel about the scene and everything and the whole context of the play, but essentially in this scene, we're in Act 3, Scene 5 today. Silvius and Phoebe are walking in. Now, they are a couple of, I suppose, friends, because they are always together. Silvius is completely besotted with Phoebe. He really, really loves her. He wants her to be his, and she's not interested. Can anyone relate to that? And actually, that's my first point about acting Shakespeare. How can you imagine or relate to the situation the character is in? Even if you're, 10 years old watching this or 80 years old, surely there's been a time where you felt rejected by someone. So if you're playing Silvius, that might be a useful emotion to draw upon in a healthy way and then disregard at the end of rehearsal and at the end of the play. Or maybe like Phoebe, you've had someone relentlessly pursue you. Maybe you've had a stalker who says absurd things to you, like what Silvius is about to say to Phoebe. Empathize with your characters. And I wanted to start with this today. Often with Phoebe, as I talked about previously when we looked at her other speech, she is instantly dismissed by a lot of us, unfortunately, and especially directors. I've noticed the male directors like to call her stupid quite a lot. If you're calling your character stupid from the beginning, you're not going to give them the weight and the work that they deserve. Phoebe is, do you think Phoebe would call herself stupid? Who calls themselves stupid? Unless it's in like a self-deprecating jokey format on a comic stage or, oh God, I always do that. I'm so silly, aren't I? Unless it's in that kind of format. If I actually was calling myself stupid all the time, God, I'm so stupid. It's kind of an abuse thing, really, isn't it? Towards myself. So make sure you don't do that with your characters. Try not to judge them so harshly when you're just starting out or when you're working on them. It's really important to figure out how they would feel about themselves. And maybe they do feel like they are stupid and they do say that to themselves and self-sabotage all the time. But I really don't believe Phoebe would. She's frustrated. This guy, can you imagine? This guy will not give you 2 meters space. And in light of recent events, that would be really annoying and also a little bit dangerous, right? He will not leave her alone. He's just following you around all the time. He's stalking her. He's really not letting it rest. A normal person would be like, okay, cool, I'll just be on my own for a little while, get over it. But Silvius doesn't. And it's kind of sweet. But it's also, we've got to remember, it would be really annoying for Phoebe. So I want you to bear that in mind going into this speech, because it will help you. And I think remembering those given circumstances, remembering the situation that your character is, and not prejudging them is gonna make this, it's gonna make all of your acting fabulous. So the way this works then is that I tuck straight in. I will read you out loud, if I can find the page again. There we go. I will read you out loud the speech that we will be working on today, and then we will work through it together. We'll translate it. We'll try different things. We'll discuss how that could be interpreted by different actors. And then I'll read it again and make some other choices and just try something else with it. So this is never a showcase for me, showing you what I would do and how exactly you must do it. Everything is up for interpretation, including Shakespeare. You get to decide what your character does. Got it? Great. So the scene starts with Silvius walking in, pursuing Phoebe in the forest of Arden. And in the forest, passions run high. Anyone can be anything. Rosalind is dressed as a man, Ganymede now, which is this scene, which we are going to work through over the next couple of weeks. And Silvius says, let me just read you this chunk. It's not too long. Sweet Phoebe, do not scorn me. Do not, Phoebe. Say that you love me not, but say not so in bitterness. The common executioner, whose heart the accustomed sight of death makes hard, falls not the axe upon the humbled neck, but first begs pardon. Will you sterner be than he that dies and lives by bloody drops? So what's he saying there? Let's quickly translate it. Sweet Phoebe, he's ingratiating, he's imploring Phoebe, sweet Phoebe. If someone called you sweet, it's a lovely thing. Shakespeare does this all the time. Now we know that, we can drop that in anywhere where Romeo or Juliet calls each other sweet, or Juliet calls Proteus sweet, or Sylvia calls Valentine sweet, right? We can now we know that, we can employ that throughout the whole of his works and all of his sonnets and all of his poetry. Magical, isn't it? Do not scorn me. Do not scorn me. Do not slag me off. Don't burn me. Burn. Do not, Phoebe. He has to say it again. So here we have a prime example of how Shakespeare is giving Phoebe some direction out of Silvius. She's probably about to go and scorn him again, and Silvius is having to say, no, stop. So really pay attention. In contemporary writing, to be honest, contemporary writing isn't always that great. Of course, there are some amazing contemporary writers, Ella Hickson, David Mamet, all these amazing writers, right? But we don't often pay attention to the words as much as we would when we're doing Shakespeare. Even then, sometimes actors don't. I see it all the time, it drives me mad. But really pay attention to the direction and what he's saying. It's a clue into how Phoebe is behaving at the minute. She's on heat, not on heat, that's the wrong phrase, but she's hot. She's probably a little bit annoyed. She's probably being a little bit like, fuck off, okay? Say that you love me not, but say not so in bitterness. Say that you don't love me, but say not so in bitterness. Don't say it not so angrily, so horribly, in tones. Bitterness. Bitterness is hissy. It's got the bitterness. You can use that plosive to get it out. Bitterness. He gives you clues in the words he uses to how you can use them and dart them at the other character, or also let them harbor in you and help you create the emotion you need, okay, to do the scene. The common executioner, so then he goes off and uses an example here. The common executioner, so someone who executes people for a living, someone who wields an axe and chops people's heads off, whose heart the accustomed sight of death makes hard, who has no emotion because he's always seeing death. So in talking about love, Silvius is now talking about death. Interesting. Falls not the axe upon the humbled neck, but first begs pardon. He doesn't just drop it on the neck, he asks for forgiveness. That's how I read that briefly. Will you sterner be than he that dies and lives by bloody drops? Did you hear the rhythm I bounced on then? What was the first word? Will you sterner be than he that dies and lives by bloody drops? Da 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 da. Easy. Often we think we need to go big and really try hard with Shakespeare. You've just got to say the words and use the rhythm. And when the rhythm is in, when it feels right, which it absolutely does there, just do it and you will get it. The audience will get it and it'll make your storytelling 1,000 times better. So there it goes. Silvius has just asked a question. If I had $1 for every time someone started this speech acting as if no question was asked beforehand, I would be a very, very wealthy woman. Okay. Remember what has just been said to you in any speech, in any sight reading, in any chem reading, in any duologue. You've got to really know what has just been said to you and react to that. So then we go straight into Phoebe. Enter Rosalind, Celia, and Corin at a distance. So just want to point out now that Rosalind and Celia haven't actually seen this bit from Silvius. They haven't seen all of the other commotion. And if we had all seen that, maybe Silvius was inappropriate with her. Maybe he groped her. Maybe he tried to have his way with her. We don't know. But if I'm playing Phoebe, I'm going to imagine that the stakes are maybe that high. And if I need to bring it back, I will. But remember, at the time, men were constantly harassing women. Sexual tensions were so high. There would have been a lot of this inappropriate, I'm a man, I can have my way with you kind of thing. And I'm sure it was the other way around for women, but we know still to this day that often women are the victims of a lot of sexual harassment, assault, and they still make the highest percentage of murder victims. And the murderer is almost always the highest percentage a man. Okay, so remember that dynamic. So for Phoebe, this might not be something new. Maybe she came to the Forest of Arden because she was fed up of that in London or wherever. She was fed up of the sexual harassment. She wanted to get into the forest where less of that was happening, but yet here she is having to deal with Silvius, who's stalking her practically. Okay, please think of all of that. Remember that. Do the backstory and actually think, how would Phoebe be feeling? It's awful. I've had a guy in a car stalk me before, trying to get me in his car. It's terrifying. So although she knows him and although she manipulates him, absolutely, remember there could be a truth in the fear of being hounded constantly, perhaps. Who knows? And in this scene in particular, I think she has lost her temper. She's had enough and she just wants some alone time, okay? Hello, Rodney. Hello. And I think Ernest is here as well, but I know he's preoccupied, can't type too much. Hello, if you're here. Rodney, good day. He says, interesting that with this opening, it makes me wonder what just happened before the scene opened. Shakespeare gets you to think about continuity, the very first words. Either I'm weird or this is brilliant. You're not weird at all. That's it. He does it often, actually. In just because I worked on this speech the other day with a student of mine, in Comedy of Errors, there's that lovely speech that Luciana has, who's Adriana's sister, the sisters who are getting confused by the multiple same people that are suddenly around. She comes straight in and the scene opens with Luciana saying, and may it be that you have quite forgot a husband's office. It's not just like, they wouldn't walk on, wait for the blackout to lift and be like, and may it be that you have quite forgotten. No, he's giving you a direction. Enter Luciana Antipholus. Boom, may it be that you've quite forgotten. He's giving you the direction that other shizzle is going down. Tensions and action is happening. And she literally is just bringing him in and getting into it and finishing off maybe something else that she said. So it does give you a really clear indication of how the energy should be running into the scene. And this is exactly the same. Silvius is coming straight in, moaning, sweet Phoebe, do not scorn me. She's obviously just been scorning him, right? So bear that in mind. Shakespeare sneezes. That's what's happening there. So yeah, he's kind of saying what's going on. And again, in that bit, which I've picked up upon, but it's the same kind of thing, Rodney, like this idea that he says, do not scorn me. Do not, Phoebe. It's not do not scorn me. Do not, Phoebe. It could be, but why would you not play with the other person in that bit? Just like you walked in on something. Exactly. It adds to it. And often I do think in some productions it's missed. And it's hard at the Globe because there is no set dressing, really. They do little bits, don't they? But if you watch and stream anything, there's been some new releases, by the way, on the Globe's website that you can stream. Can't wait. It can be hard to do that. It is purely reliant on the actors. It's not like on camera, you can cut, have a little montage, and then we know your character's in the newsagents. None of that. And it's not like on stage where the curtain will close and the lights will change and the set will come down like in musical theatre. It's not like that. So you have to do the work. And remember, back in these days when it was written, the work would have been done by the actors. Like it just would have been. And music, perhaps. They might have played a little bit of music to change the scene or something. But it had to be given here so the actors knew what they were doing. There were no rehearsals practically for this shizzle. It was like, there's your lines and your cue lines. There's your lines and your cue lines. Go. That is literally what I imagine Shakespeare did every day. Go. But do you see how I could walk off frame then as well? End of scene. Can't do that with Shakespeare on stage. You can walk off stage, but you still need to make it really punchy with the entrances and exits to make it flow and clear for the audience. So, Rosalind, Celia, and Corin at a distance have entered, most likely eavesdropping, right? This is not a quiet conversation. They're in the woods. Phoebe is pissed. So here we go. Let's read this whole speech for you. I have been very naughty today. I actually haven't done a warm-up yet, so forgive me. I've been really trying to make sure I do them every day, but I didn't today. I've been paneling all day, all week this week thus far. It's my only day off. And even then I've got lots of work to do. Anyway, so here we go. Remember and imagine for me that Silvius has just said, will you sterner be than he that dies and lives by bloody drops? And not as calm as that either. He's probably upset and distressed. I would not be thy executioner. I fly thee, for I would not injure thee. Thou tellest me there is murder in mine eye. 'Tis pretty, sure, and very probable that eyes that are the frailest and softest things, who shut their coward gates on atomies, should be called tyrants, butchers, murderers. Now I do frown on thee with all my heart. I've lost where I am. Now I do frown on thee with all my heart. And if my eyes can wound, now let them kill thee. Now counterfeit to swoon. Why? Not fall down? Or if thou canst not, oh, for shame, lie not to say mine eyes are murderers. Now show the wound my eye has made in thee. Scratch thee but with a pin, and there remains some scar of it. Lean upon a rush. The cicatrice and capable, the cicatrice and capable impressure thy palm some moment keeps, but now mine eyes which have darted at thee hurt thee not, nor I am sure there is not force in eyes that can do hurt. Well, I totally butchered that, didn't I? But that's okay. She mentions butchers, so I was just running with that word throughout the whole thing. Anyway, do you see how the energy straight away, when I've been doing other speeches, I try and, put it into some kind of context. I was using you as Silvius here at the lens. Looking at me does not mean that I'm connected to the lens. You are the audience. Another thing for Zoom auditions and things, remember that. If you're looking at the other person, you're acting like you're in the room with them, but we don't feel like you're actually looking at us. If you want to feel like you're actually looking at us, you need to look down the lens. Great. Yes, I detected part of one of my exercises. Did you? Oh, I'm trying to think which part. What bit? I'm fully aware I still haven't emailed you back. I've been so slack with you and Ernest, honestly. I just feel like my emails are like, and I want to sit down and probably get back to you properly. So please bear with me. I know I feel like I say that every week. It's been like a month, but we're getting there. Yes, I love this speech. It's so clever and clear. And yet when people often do it, it's not clever and clear. it's not, I feel like there's a lot missing. So let's talk through it and thicken this up. Let's give Phoebe the substance that she deserves. Let's translate it. I would not be thy executioner, semicolon. I fly thee, for I would not injure thee, full stop. Frown. Is that one of your exercises? Oh God, I can't remember now. Don't frown. Pauses. Yeah, I see what you're saying here now. Yes, so Rodney was a client of mine briefly, I hope you don't mind me explaining. And one thing that's really powerful in acting is deciding when not to speak. And again, Shakespeare gives you all the answers in the punctuation. There's that lovely moment where she says, well, we'll come to it, but when there's a full stop, a question mark in particular, because you're asking a question, make sure you use it and give yourself room to breathe and give the audience time to breathe. Let us take on board everything you've just said. Don't think we can just pick it up all the time straight away, because we can't, especially stuff like this. It needs that time to breathe. If you rush over it because you don't get it, it's obvious. And I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. So here we go. Let's translate. I would not be thy executioner. I would not be your killer. I would not murder you. Also, with the translations, really try and keep it how it is. So, for example, then I said, I would not be thy murderer. I would not be your murderer. This is the trouble with things like No Fear Shakespeare. They just translate it, but they don't really pay attention to which order the words are in. They would just say, I don't want to be your executioner. But that's a very different thing. It's not that I would not be your executioner. I would not do that to you, maybe, rather than I don't want to do that. There's two very different attitudes there. So be really careful. Make sure you're mindfully translating this when we work through it. I do try and do it, but for sake of speed here, I sometimes do flip it around a little bit. But I would make sure I personally, if I was doing this speech professionally, go through it and nail that translation so that I could almost syllable for syllable and word for word say something that still makes sense, but it has exactly the same rhythm and similar sounds to what is in here. That's the depth to which you need to go to, if I would say. That's what I was kind of taught. And, you know, I trained at Bristol Theatre School with the old guard. They knew what they were doing. They created the big people, right? So make sure, do the work. Do the work. I fly thee. I run from you. But do you see how I've added a different syllable in then? I run from you. That's 4, but there's only 3 here. I fly thee. I reject you. Still 4 syllables, but it's a better kind of fit. I leave you. I don't want to be around you, right? For I would not injure thee. Because I don't want to injure you. I would not do that to you. I don't want to cut you and hurt you, right? Full stop. So she's really and full stop. She could leave it there. I run from you because I don't want to hurt you, okay? Great. But she doesn't. She has to carry on. Maybe he's going to say something. Maybe he still doesn't get it. Maybe he's like, but you are hurting me. No, but I'm not trying to. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there is some compassion there from her. She's not a total bitch. She would have just walked off, but if this was the case. And she hasn't. So, yeah, I'm fed up with seeing Phoebe all you know, surface and no substance. Give her the substance. Thou tellest me there is murder in mine eye. Is that a full stop? Ooh. Full stop in my edition. Always check with the RSC version. But still, thou tellest me there is murder in mine eye. So I, you know, like I just did here. You tell me there's murder in mine eye. Fine. It's likely that actually, I feel like she's having to spell it out for Silvius because he's a little bit slow, okay? So again, bear that in mind. It's in the punctuation. Shakespeare's giving you the idea. Thou tellest me, as well, not tellest. I'm adding an extra syllable there. Thou tellest me there is murder in mine eye. 'Tis pretty, sure, and very probable. She's getting animated. She doesn't say, it's very probable that eyes that are the frailest and softest thing. She doesn't say that. She gets a bit beefy with it. 'Tis pretty, sure, and very probable that eyes are the frailest and softest things who shut their coward gates on atomies, should be called tyrants. And I kind of like this. I feel like this is a bit of a feminist edge here. Frailty is often used to describe women and our waxen hearts, that lovely bit in Viola. See how we can cross-reference and make sense of things moving on now. Frailty, 'tis our frailty that be the cause, or something, not we, something like that. Frailty is the idea of vulnerability, of being human. Quick time check, lovely. And she's using it here to describe eyes. And I think we could change it to that women that are the frailest and softest things, who shut their coward gates on atomies, and I said anatomies, which might have been a thing in my brain, because I'm thinking it's kind of a bit like the sexual harassment that she's currently experiencing from Silvius. Experiencing from Silvius. It kind of blows my mind that this is often missed. She's not a freaking idiot. She knows what she's saying, and she's using analogies in a very subtle way, I think, to depict her story. And it's, you know, it's pretty. Our eyes are pretty, maybe, literally pretty. Sure, and very probable that eyes that are the frailest and softest things, who shut their coward gates on atomies, should be called tyrants, butchers, murderers. And that's it. She is being called an executioner. She's the softest thing. She's just fed up. Why? Why does no one give her this credit? Drive me freaking mad. So do you see the parallel that she's drawing upon here? So absolutely, at this point, could be interacted with the audience. Let me make Silvius my microphone here. 'Tis pretty, sure, and very probable that eyes that are the frailest and softest things. Do you see how I'm using the camera to kind of draw you in and be also a bit like an aside? For fuck's sake, man. It's really, really, to me, that section is timeless. Like I just brought up, you know, statistically, women are often the victim of murderers. They're the highest percentage of victims, of murderers' victims, and men are the highest percentage perpetrators. I think she's still kind of drawing a parallel on the fact that the victim is often to blame. I think it's really, really interesting. Loving that. And there's an exclamation point at the end of murderers there. Rule of 3, tyrants, butchers, murderers. So there's 3 different things there, and I think they escalate in worseness, perhaps. Explore that. I'm gonna sneeze again. Excuse me, what? And then she's got a new idea. Or not maybe a new idea, but maybe at this point she's worked her way up. Tyrants, butchers, murderers. And then she's realized she's frowning, and she goes, now I do frown on thee with all my heart. And if mine eyes can wound, so here we go. And there's a colon there after heart, a semicolon after heart. So she's really thinking fast here and being very clever with her words. Now I frown on thee with all my heart. Now counterfeit to swoon. Now fall over. Now show me how painful my eyes are. Literally how painful my eyes are. She's playing on the metaphorical that Silvius has given her and making it literal. So does that sound like a stupid person? No, she's playing with words. Can we all give her some respect? Thank you very much. Ernest, hello, got a break between needles, giving blood, bloody Shakespeare while losing blood. Oops, back to just listening. Thank you for being here, Ernest. A real trooper, a true sonneteer, and a true speecheteer. Love it. I hope it's all going okay. Well done for doing it. Remember to give blood, everyone. Always a kind thing to do. So carrying on. Now I do frown on thee with all my heart. He's calling her a murderer. And that's another thing, actually. If someone said, oh, you're such a murderer, and meant it, like, it's not a very nice thing to say. That might actually really upset her. Maybe her dad was murdered, and that's actually a really sensitive subject for her. Decide all this backstory stuff. It will give you so much more to explore. And if mine eyes can wound, now let them kill thee. And if my eyes can kill, now let them kill you. Translation as well. Prove it. I thought you just said that my eyes are bitter and can kill you, like the executioner can. Show me then. Oh, wait, you're not dead. Contemporary translation, again. Let them kill thee. I couldn't switch through. Why now fall down? Now let them kill thee. Full stop. And this is what Rodney picked up on, the pause. I give him the opportunity to die. Now counterfeit to swoon. He doesn't do anything because he knows his argument is being picked apart by a very clever woman. Lovely. Now counterfeits to swoon. Why? Now fall down. Or if thou can, and again, now counterfeit to swoon. Now demonstrate the swoon. Do it. Pretend you're swooning. Pretend you're falling. And remember, swooning, I think swoon is a nice romantic, I'm swooning at you. But it is that kind of like, if you swoon, you fall and faint and die, maybe. Start to die. Now faint. Now pretend to faint. Now she's saying pretend. Why? Now fall down. Fall down. Physically enact for me what you've said is happening. Because the fact you aren't proves that it's not happening. So shut up calling me an executioner. That's her point to make here. Semicolon again. Or, if thou canst not. So now she's giving him, again, she's thinking on her feet here. Or if you can't, if thou canst not. If you cannot fall down. Oh, for shame, lie not to say mine eyes are murderers. So there we go. There's her argument, pretty much won. And oh, for shame, lie not to say mine eyes are murderers. Is that clear, do you think? Any questions on that part? If you're not watching this live, by the way, and you've got questions, just type them in the comments and I do get back to you as soon as I can. Best way to work with me, though, is through a one-to-one session. I give you so much to think about and go away and work on, and we can get really stuck into the depth. But if you ever show up to me with a Shakespeare speech and you have not looked up all the words in a dictionary yet, I'm just going to send you away and not give you a refund. That's not true. I'll work through it with you, but do the work. Do the work before you come to the session. Get it all in there. Says a lot. Get it in. Anyway, side note. For shame. So again, she's kind of now putting the shame on Silvius. For shame, lie not to say mine eyes are murderers. Don't tell me mine eyes are murderers. You are a liar. Okay? So again, this is quite harsh stuff. Remember, Rosalind, Celia, and Corinne are only seeing this part. They're not seeing Silvius, who sometimes is played very innocent and sweet and lovely. He's a bloke, a young man of the time, trying to get in her pants. He could be an absolute dick. Why not make him a dick? And what he's saying is harsh, but I think because it isn't a tragedy play, we don't give it the weight it deserves from the beginning. It's still hurtful. These characters are all still going through pain. Rosalind has been banished. Oh, her father before that had been banished. She's been left. The uncle she thought she loved forever has banished her, sent her away, and her lovely cousin has come with her, but she feels very alone. She can't have the one she loves. He can't have the one he loves. Celia's all alone. Touchstone is sad. Like, there's so much tragedy in this. Even, remember that, even the comedies have truth and tragic circumstances that make them funny. Run over. Now show the wound mine eye hath made in thee. And then she goes on again here. Now show me the wound that my eye has made on you. Show me the physical burn, the scratch, the cut. And it's a statement. Again, full stop. She gives him time to roll up his sleeves or roll up his leg and show her. But he doesn't. He can't. There's nothing there. Then she goes on. Scratch thee but with a pin, and there remains some scar of it. Scratch yourself with a pin, and there's going to be some evidence that you were scratched. See how I'm pausing now? Then we've got a semicolon. She gives another example. And this one I really, really like, again, which is often I don't think people actually understand what she's saying here. I kind of did it, but you couldn't really see. Lean upon a rush, and I said cicatrice, I think it's cicatrice, and capable in pressure thy palm some moment keeps. If you lean on a tree bark, you will see the lines of that. If you lean on the corner of a something like a table, you often get the line there for a while, right? You cross your legs, you get that little red patch where all your blood's got stopped by your thigh, right? So she's talking about how contact with something leaves an impression, leaves a mark. And it's a lovely written bit, but people don't seem to use it very well. Lean upon a rush, the cicatrice incapable in pressure thy palm some moment keeps. Then she comes back. But third, rule of three, rhetoric, do that, something happens. Do that, something happens. Do this, nothing's there. Do you see? She's setting us up. It's well-written verse, and it is in verse as well. So remember that too. If it was written in prose, she wouldn't be as clever. So there. I mean, that's not entirely true because Rosalind speaks a lot, not in verse, but I think she is kind of, and she's very clever, but I think there's a reason Shakespeare's put it in verse for her, for Phoebe. So cicatrix. Is that how you say it? Oh, my mic is...
Cicatrix.
The scar of a healed wound, the scar on the bark of a tree, a mark on a stem left after a leaf or other part has become detached. So, cicatrix. Interesting. So I said that wrong, but look, you see, this is a safe space. We're all going to get it wrong. You don't have to know what every single word means, and that's fine. But then go look it up in a dictionary so that you do know what it means. Don't just be like, oh, yeah, I don't know what that means, so I just will rush over that bit, or that's fine. No, respect the text, do the work, get the words in. Yeah, lean upon a rush, so a rush like a tree. The cicatrix incapable in pressure, thy palm some moment keeps. Even your palm will keep some. So she's talked again, and this is very clever as well. She's talked about a scratch with a pin, so that's actually a kind of piercing of the skin. Then she talks about an impression, so like just a pushing, a touching, a contact, kind of contact. And then she goes on, but now mine eyes, which have darted at thee, hurt thee not. Now I am sure there is not force in eyes that can do hurt. One thing I've never seen actually, but just I feel she's done an experiment. It's like a scientific experiment. Okay, so you're telling me that my eyes are throwing darts at you and they are cutting you and piercing you. Fine, let's just run that through and do a little experiment. Here we go. Okay, are you hurt? Is anything going wrong here? You're still alive. Let's try again. Phase 2. Okay, one more for good measure. Oh, look, nothing's happening. Isn't that interesting? Let's compare the findings. I scratched this gentleman with a pin. He bled. I made this guy stand upon a tree and lean on it. He had tree prints all down his shoulder. But then you, who tell me that my eyes are executioners, remain alive despite my eyes throwing axes at you. And those are the findings from Phoebe's scientific experiments. Okay, lovely. Therefore, well, I didn't say therefore, but there is not force in eyes that can do hurt. Love it. Love it. One other thing to point out, this is kind of showing her skepticism of love, I think. So that when she falls in love with Ganymede, we see a real shift in her and almost a bit of a Midsummer Night's Dream in there. What's going on is she's discovering in the latter speech, which we've already looked at, she's discovering what is going on. She hates him, but she loves him. We've all probably experienced that in a relationship, right? Even familial relationships where it's not a kind of, romantic love. I went through phases of hating my mum, right? But I love her. She's my mum. I'll always go back. She'll always come back. You know, it's a thing. It's a love that's there. with relationships. You know, we all have fights with our spouses, but you love them still. And it's something that I think that Phoebe is discovering in this play. This whole play is a discovery thing. And symbolically, whenever the characters go into a forest, havoc is wreaked, stuff goes on, magic happens. So really bear that in mind. Give Phoebe somewhere to go. Give her the character arc she deserves. She's a skeptic. She does not believe that her eyes are doing any harm on this person. He's a freaking idiot. I can't believe he's even in love with me. What care I for words? I don't care about words. I like having a little bit of physical fun with people, but I'm not really emotionally connected. She's not an idiot and stupid because she's not buying into this romance bullshit. She'd hate Valentine's Day. She'd stand there probably and be like, it's a load of commercial crap that, you know, a card company made at one time to sell us stuff we don't need. She'd be living in a tiny house as a minimalist, not buying into all this commercial crap. But then she meets Ganymede and she's in. Although she doesn't know she's in straight away, she's figuring out how she's feeling, and then she'll be in. Okay? Excellent. So let's just read that bit again. That is all we are going to look at today, just because I have got a student soon and I can't be over an hour today. So we will come back and have a little look at the rest of this scene next week. So next week we're going to run on. We'll have a quick look at Silvius's response and then Phoebe's, and then we will go into Rosalind's speech. So Rosalind has that lovely speech. And why I pray you, who may be your mother? No, is that it? Yeah, is that? Funny, isn't it? No, better than you think. Who may be your mother, that you insult, exalt, and all at once over the wretched? We'll be doing that speech, which is a bit longer, so we'll see how we go. Excuse me. The phrase, Rodney says, the phrase I still is so lovely. I wish it was still used commonly today. I still. Oh, which bit? Is it a quote in here? Oh, excuse me. What phrase? What phrase? Tell me. I'm intrigued. I don't know which one. But lovely. Let's leave it there. Let me read it one more time and we'll call it a day. Just trying to think where my eyeline is. Okay, I'm going to bring my eyeline over here more. I would not be thy executioner. I fly thee, for I would not injure thee. Thou tell'st me there is murder in mine eye. 'Tis pretty, sure, and very probable that eyes that are the frailest and softest things, who shut their coward gates on atomies, should be called tyrants, butchers, murderers. Now I do frown on thee with all my heart, and if mine eyes can wound, now let them kill thee. Now, counterfeit to swoon. Why, now fall down, or if thou canst not, oh, for shame, lie not to say mine eyes are murderers. Now show the wound mine eye hath made in thee. Scratch thee but with the pin, and there remains some scar of it. Lean upon a rush, the cicatrix and capable impressure thy palm some moment keeps, but now mine eyes, which have darted at thee, hurt thee not. Nor, I am sure, there is not force in eyes that can do hurt. Okay, brilliant. Off she goes. But she doesn't. He says something else, and we'll look at that next week. I love you still. I dwell there still. Ah, thou comest to me in my dreams still. My heart is with you still. Ah, lovely. Yes, it's this after, isn't one of those from Dream? There's after the turmoil and the havoc and the stress and the anger and the hate. I love you still. And today we'd say, I still love you. But yes, so lovely. Excellent. I've really enjoyed that. I'm going to have to fly. I will fly thee. I fly thee, for I have a student to do some Shakespeare with, and some other contemporary stuff, because he got a recall at LAMDA. Woo! Hopefully going to LAMDA. I'm really excited. Touch wood. I will see you next week for Rosalind's speech. Remember, we will be starting from there. We'll have a quick look at Silvius and Phoebe's next little chunk, and then we'll work through that scene, and we will do that whole speech, and it will be from "And Why I Pray You, Who May Be Your Mother," etc., etc. And we will finish that scene the week after as well, or the next couple of weeks after that too. If there are any scenes that you would like to look at, please comment below so that I can have a little delve in and organise all of that. But for now, it's been a real pleasure. I've really enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for joining me. Really great to see and hear from you both, and others that are on. And I will see you all next week for a lovely slice of Rosalind. Ciao for now.